Everybody, and welcome to Tony Moley Adams Team of the Week. And it's good to be back with you on YouTube. And before we introduce the man himself, obviously I say it all the time, but you've got to like and subscribe because that's the only way people find out that we're doing this. And thanks to everyone who supported us until now. Tony's channel's probably only got about 4 videos on it, and we're a long way towards our short-term target of subscribers. So I want to thank you for supporting us. And also don't forget our Thursday flagship show. It flip-flops between 2 channels. The other channel is White Line Fever TV. So make sure you give that a follow as well. And here he is, the man himself, Tony Adams. Tony, how are you? How was your weekend?
Yeah, busy weekend of footy, Steve. A few upsets, a few controversies, and just one round closer to the finals. I think we've got 4 more weeks and we're in the big time, and very tight, the race, and very tense. And I think that was reflected in some of the games. Some of them were really played with finals intensity.
Yeah, you mainly watch every NRL game every week. I watched 2 English games yesterday. I watched Leeds and Lee, and I watched a really good championship game between Halifax and Featherstone, where Joey Leilua, the opposition, got under his skin, much like you once did, Tony. So he had a few brain explosions, lashing out with his foot, lifting his arms when he took the ball in. He also lashed out with his fist or open hand. He's lucky to stay on the field, Joey Leilua. But I was in Sweden last week, and on Friday I thought I was going to the barber, and I actually went to the butcher, and he was so. He didn't speak much English. I was in a place called for shopping in Sweden. He didn't speak much English, but he wouldn't charge me afterwards because he could see I wasn't happy with the service. But I wasn't that unhappy. But I'm just not used to having my ears sticking out like this. Anyway, Tony, before we go to your team of the week, which is the second time we've done this on YouTube, what sort of we'll later on in the week we'll talk about news in greater detail. But anything catch your eye in the last sort of 24, 48 hours?
Yeah, well, I just had a chat with Tim Sheens, the Tigers coach. They, of course, went down in a thriller to the Canberra Raiders in a match that has massive significance for the Raiders, keeps them in the finals race, but also for the poor old Tigers, who are desperate to avoid back-to-back wooden spoons. And Graham Annesley, the referee's boss, came out and admitted, yes, there was one Raiders try from a forward pass. Tim argues there are actually 2 Raiders tries from a forward pass, and I would tend to agree with him. So poor old Tigers fans, they just cop it every week. And I think it's human nature, actually, with referees. I want to emphasise they don't cheat, but there is an unconscious bias when a good team plays a bad team. The good team is supposed to win. And they tend to get those 50-50 calls. And I think that's what we saw down in Canberra. And of course, you've also got the home ground advantage. Had that been a Tigers pass, there would have been 15,000 Raiders fans screaming, forward, forward, and the referee would have probably blown his whistle. So Tim had every right to be aggrieved. There was also a very contentious call in the Dragons lost to the Eels, another game massive in the finals race and in the wooden spoon race, where Jacob Little got stripped by the Eels fullback Clint Gutherson. I actually thought that the ref more or less got this right, and it was a loose carry by Little. It led to a Dragons no try. Graham Annesley said it should have been a try. I disagree. So I guess you can't please all the people all the time. But just goes to show how tough these rules are and the interpretations, and what a tough job it is for the bunker. But I'd still like to see them get a better strike rate, because they're just getting too many wrong after watching them 20 times and still coming up with the wrong result. And I believe similar things happen in Super League.
Yeah, well, Paul Rowley, the Salford coach, yesterday called his referee a disgrace, and I think that's an instant fine in the NRL. I don't think there's any doubt about that. You can question. I mean, you can't even question competence. I mean, I've been talking about something completely different online about what's defamatory and what isn't, and you can question competence, but not honesty or integrity. Yeah. But in the NRL now, you can't really question competence either, can you? Certainly to hold a referee up to ridicule by calling him a disgrace. That's first thing Monday morning in the NRL. Anyway, let's not go into that. Let's go into your team of the week, Tony, starting number 1 and fullback.
Yeah, well, fullback was the hardest position I had because Kalen Ponga had an absolute blinder for the Knights as they went to 5 straight wins. But I've gone from a player in a losing team, Jaden Campbell, son of the great Preston, the Titans. They had 12 men against the Warriors for most of the game, but he was sensational, scored a solo try. He set up another, ran for over 230 metres, and he is a real superstar of our game. I don't know how much you've seen of him, Steve, but a very special player.
I've seen a little bit of him, not as much as I would have liked. Moving along to your 2 wingers.
Yeah, and the first one, another player from a losing team, Michaela Ravalawa, the flying Fijian, scored 4 straight tries. It hasn't been done since Ryan Pappenhausen about 5-6 years ago, according to David Middleton when I asked him the day. And this was, again, in a losing side against the Eels. He was remarkable, kept the Dragons in the game, could almost have won it. The other winger, Jermaine Asako, well, we saw Ravalawa score 4 straight tries. Asako scored 3 straight tries, and that's pretty rare too, and did it all in the space of 10 minutes when Newcastle were down a man. Another player with just that knack of scoring tries, Jermaine Asako.
Yeah, and great to see the big crowd over in Perth too, wasn't it, for the doubleheader? And your centres.
Yeah, Dane Gagai from the Knights, probably his best game of the year. A line break, 2 line break assists, 10 tackle breaks, 160 running metres. Very impressive stats against the Dolphins. And with him, a guy who's very underrated, but he's getting the job done this year, Bailey Simonson at the Eels. He made 2 line breaks, had 2 try assists in that narrow win over the Dragons. He's going to be a key man for the Eels, I think, over the next month, and one who opposition teams probably don't pay as much respect to as they should.
6 and 7, 5, 8.5.
Yeah, number 6 has been a real crowd pleaser for the Broncos this year. Ezra Mam, still only 19, 20 years old, but Adam Reynolds was a late withdrawal and he really rose to the occasion in Reynolds' absence. He scored a try. They targeted him in defence. He took some heavy hits, but he kept getting up again and led the Broncos to that fine win over the Cowboys in Townsville. And the halfback, he's my tip for the Dally M, which probably not a great shock as I think he's leading it, but Sean Johnson, he's really turned back the clock this year. Scored 2 tries, set up 2 others as the Warriors just kept on pushing for the top 4, having a great year for a, 32, 33-year-old.
And he's going around again, isn't he, next year?
Yeah, I believe so. He's playing too well not to, Steve. He's really been the driving force behind the Warriors, and I'm sure Andrew Webster's already locked him up for next season, if not another one after that, the way he's going.
Lock is
Isaiah Yeo from the Panthers. He ran for over 200 metres, and it was one of the rare occasions where Dylan Edwards didn't make the most metres for the Panthers. He was pipped by Isaiah Yeo, and he played that fine link role where he stands deep and gets the ball from dummy half and then feeds either of the halves with a deep ball, Jerome Luai or Nathan Cleary, and he really got the attack rolling for the Panthers as they scored yet another good win.
And Tony, what about your second rowers?
Bryce Cartwright from the Eels, probably his best showing of the year. Scored 2 tries, got some clever offloads away. He's a special player on his day, Bryce Cartwright. He has on days and he has off days, but he was definitely on against the Dragons. And the other one, Hudson Young, probably his best game since the Origin, where he sort of lost his way a bit. Played very strongly against the poor old Tigers, made a series of determined runs and scored a vital try, right back to his best, Hudson Young.
And your props?
My props, big Toby Rudolph for the Sharks. That was probably one of the upsets of the weekend. They went over Souths and he really dominated the forward exchanges with that physical Souths pack. He led the platform for the upset win in Perth, as you mentioned, before that big crowd. And the other one, he's just there every week. You just can't not put him in. Payne Haas, over 200 metres, and this is in the Townsville heat. More than any other player in the Townsville derby. Remarkable for a guy his size to churn out so many metres when it was hot and steamy in Townsville. He just does it week after week.
Finally, number 9, hooker.
The hooker is Phoenix Crosland, and I've had to apologise to him in my wrap-up of the weekend. I didn't rate him as a week-to-week NRL player, but he's proved me wrong. He's come into the Knights team at hooker, and remember, he's a halfback, and done a really good job. And they're on a 5-match winning run, and he's been a key man in that. Scored a try and topped the tackle count as the Knights just limped home against the Dolphins.
We'll be back later in the week with your midweek scoops, and we'll also be back with the flagship show after the Thursday night match. Where can people find your copy, Tony? Where can they read more?
Yeah, on the Wide World of Sports websites. That's www.wwos.com.au. And, of course, they can find me on Twitter at 9_Moley. I'm currently at 165,000 followers. The Broncos are closing in on me. They're 161,000. So unfollow the Broncos, people, and follow the Mole.
Okay, see you later in the week, Tony.